where they keep their ideas, they design the core processes in one particular location. Then when the idea became successful, they started growing as bigger multinational companies altogether. Transnational companies are always there in terms of building up the economy and building up the system altogether. Global, which means I am available everywhere, I am everywhere, and I belong to everywhere. Good morning and welcome to the session 4 in business environment, when we are talking about the forms of company and the organization. In this, we are going to talk specialized about the multinational companies, or the MNC. So the MNC stands for multinational companies, which is very common these days to understand, and that's how we have been operating in the business environment circle. So quickly moving forward, let's try to understand what is a multinational company. Now, according to Franklin Root, a great management theorist, in 1994, an MNC is being described as which engages in production, that is in foreign production, through its affiliates located in several other countries, exercises direct control over the policy of its affiliates, implements business strategy in production, marketing, and staffing that go beyond the national boundaries. Now just look at the entire ideology here. You might have seen this company is very common. You might have heard about an LG or a Coca-Cola, Apple, Microsoft, Nike, or you talk about Google, Amazon. All these companies are known to you because they interact with you, they interact with me on a day-to-day basis. What is really interesting about these companies is that their presence is being felt across the globe. Their presence is everywhere. They are trying to penetrate into every single market, and their product tries to cover every single individual as far as possible. Now, what is so interesting about being a multinational company itself is that you are no more a company which is restricted yourself to a particular boundary or to a particular geography. You are a company whose presence is found across the globe. You are known by hundreds and thousands of people across the globe. You have a separate brand value, an entity, and all those factors that will make you even more identifiable, accessible among the public. Now, once you are a multinational company, the most interesting factor that comes into picture is that you are able to govern yourself through the different channel partners, through the different affiliates, different offices that are located across the globe. Now, for example, let us take Microsoft itself. Microsoft as a company is headquartered in Seattle in United States, but then they have their offices across the globe, which means whatever Microsoft wants to do as a part of the program, as a part of their development exercise altogether, Microsoft will do it in their nation, particularly controlled from the United States. So from the US, they will have their headquarter control. They will tell their branch offices, they will tell their people what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, what are the different factors that we are talking about, and if there is going to be a launch of a new product, if there's going to be a launch of a new software, Microsoft would go ahead and do it through their channel partner affiliates altogether. Now, what is very interesting about an MNC is that it will never try to restrict itself in one place. It will try to come out of the boundaries. It will create its own marketing campaign. It will create its own business activities and try to cover the different aspects as far as possible. So this is where you will try to understand that a multinational company is actually trying to exercise its control, actually trying to exercise its entire activity, implement its business strategy through the various affiliate programs. And the best part of MNCs is that since they are known across the globe, since they have a global identity, it becomes very easy for them to market, to penetrate, to tell people what is their product all about. Now, moving forward, let us now talk about the history and evolution of the multinational companies. Now, most of the companies in the world have their own history, they have their own ideology altogether. Even for the multinational companies, we had their own identity, the way how they originated in the world. Now, these companies originated early in the 20th century. That was very, very important. That is after the World War II. And a multinational corporation normally develops its products in its native area and get its manufactured them abroad. Now, let's take the case of Nike itself. Nike as a company is known for its products in fitness and sports area. Nike is known in terms of basketball, in terms of running, or probably any other sport that you can name for. The ideology of Nike started all along in 1976 by a great founder known as the Phil Knight. Phil Knight started up Nike and then it started moving all the way ahead. Today, Nike is a global brand altogether. What does Nike exactly do? It's that it's design, it's way how it gets incorporated, the ideology behind that shoe, how the fitness should be, how the accessory should be. All these factors are being done, are being designed, are being put forward in their head office, which is located in United States. And it gets its things manufactured. Shoes are manufactured in Taiwan, in China, in Vietnam, in so many other parts of the world. So the ideology of a multinational company is that keep the root in one place and spread the wings as far as possible. The reason for this is that they understood that the competence and the standards are available in different parts of the country, different parts of the globe altogether. Now, for example, if you look into China, China has got a large amount of labor workforce. So they could probably make utilization of the workforce at a cheaper cost and get the manufacturing done there. That's why Dell started its manufacturing output unit in a place called Xiamen in China. Now, Dell is incorporated in a place called Round Rock in Texas, but its manufacturing operations happens in China. Now, why is this factors coming in is that when you look into a lot of multinational companies, their ideology is quite simple. They want to be a part of a system. They want to be a part of the entire scenario where they keep their ideas, they design the core processes in one particular location and allow the outsourcing of manufacturing, legal or accounting processing, or probably something related to customer entry and data, all that in the other areas altogether. So that is how you would start seeing that the multinational corporations evolution started coming up in the world. Secondly, most of the multinational companies are either the American, Japanese, or the West European. If you happen to go through the Fortune 500 list, you will be surprised to see the amount of companies that are listed in the Fortune 500 are basically from the United States, from the Japan, and from that of the European companies. Why only these segment altogether is that post-World War II, these are the countries which started showing a rapid interest towards industrialization. They started understanding the need of privatization, liberalization, and globalization. So they started moving up rapidly in terms of ramping up their manufacturing setup and base, and they started spreading across the globe. When you look into companies like Sony, Hitachi, Mitsubishi, Toyota, Honda, all these companies of the Japanese origin, they wanted to go out and sell their products so that they could become a much more well-known company, a better brand altogether. Their technology was understood better in the outside countries rather than the hometown itself. So that's where you will see that the evolution of these companies also had a particular origin altogether. Now, the history is important for us. Why? Because the history tells us from where this evolution began and how they have started moving forward in terms of capturing the entire market. Now, for example, even if you look into the company called PepsiCo, PepsiCo is a United States company, but you can see that their products are much appreciated in India. They are appreciated much in the South Asia. Why? Because their presence, their ideology is very well understood here. So that is how this company has become a great company altogether. This is how the evolution of MNCs have happened altogether. Moving forward, in the history, I would also like to talk about, in the last 3 decades, many small corporations have also become multinational companies. Now, there are many small companies like, if I have to talk about the origin of Motorola itself, or when you start looking into smaller companies which started like Dell company, which was a very, very small company, suddenly it became a large manufacturer of the computer related products. All these kind of companies started up in a very, very small manner, including Google and Apple, which I would like to talk about, because these are all companies which were initially started as a thought process. And then when the idea became successful, they started growing as bigger multinational companies altogether. Starting with a great example of Amazon, which was initially an online company trying to sell books. But today, Amazon is the world's largest in terms of e-commerce based company. So what is happening here is that the history tells us very clearly that there is always a scope for even a small company to expand its operation and become a large company in the long run. And this is possible. Why? Because as the business expands, as the opportunities expand, these companies will definitely capitalize on it and start moving forward as not just one company, but as a global company altogether. Followed by, these enterprises maintain that they create employment, create wealth, improve technology in countries. 1996 was one year when the great city of Bangalore got enlightened by the innovation, by the technology that was spread by the Silicon Valley. Starting with Intel, starting with Oracle, Accenture, Capgemini, all kind of companies that started landing slowly into Bangalore. The city of Bangalore from a garden city became the Silicon City of India, or the Silicon Valley of India. Why was that? Because they started understanding the expansion of technology. They started understanding the expansion or the need of human capital. So what does this MNC companies do is that they try to spread their wings across the world. They try to provide opportunity, employment to large number of people across the globe by creating multiple opportunity, multiple growth facilities. And they also tell how they will increase their technological impact across the globe. But if you start looking in depth, the multinational companies were able to create the wealth by expanding themselves. That is how you see the stock value of Apple or Amazon gone up to that level. That is one of the reasons today you need to understand the creation of a multinational company happens only because when they are able to grow global and they are able to become better altogether. Followed by, I would also like to talk about the multinational corporation structure, which are 3 types: horizontally integrated companies, vertically integrated companies, and diversified companies altogether. Now, when you start looking into horizontally integrated companies, I would like to talk about the McDonald's corporation altogether. The McDonald's is one company where you will see that they're horizontally integrated in the same kind of thing. The vertically integrated, like Intel, which is into one particular vertical, into one particular structure. And they are not in terms, when I say they are vertically integrated, that means they stick on to one particular and they concentrate on one core region altogether. Diversified, like General Electric or IBM, when they try to diversify themselves into different aspects and different areas altogether. So these are all people who have a different dimensions of working. They have a different notion about creating employment, about creating growth aspects altogether. But nevertheless, they have the similar ideology that they want to go global, they want to become as big as possible. Now, if you just have a look into the image, look at the sprawling office spaces, look at the ideology that they have created in terms of becoming big, in terms of really going in terms of employment as well as the capital creation. Now, let me talk about a very interesting type of company called as the transnational company. So when you call a transnational company, these are companies that which have they are huge companies which do business in several other companies. So they are similar to that of a multinational company, but what is the difference here is that many TNCs are much richer than the entire countries in less developed countries world. So if you look into Nestle, or if you start looking into Unilever or Cadbury's, or for example BP Amoco, these companies are even more richer than those small islands or small countries located in the African region altogether. So they have that much of wealth because of the operation, because of the creation of products across the globe. Such companies can provide work and enrich the country's economy. Definitely, if you look into Nestle, when they bring in that tag itself, good food, good life, that is very, very important. Why? Because they have always concentrated on bringing in good life and good enhancement in the working conditions of the people. So that is why it is very, very important that these transnational companies make in a good entry. Sometimes they say that they exploit workers with low pay and they destroy the environment, but that is not true every time. Why? Because there have been cases where they have tried to go against the system, but in majority, transnational companies are always there in terms of building up the economy and building up the system altogether. Moving forward, let's talk about a global company, and one of my favorite global companies which I would like to talk about is none other than Coca-Cola itself. Now, if you look at this company, probably I will say that Coca-Cola is a nation by itself. It's a world by itself. It's one of the world's most respected brand and which has the largest brand equity as far as possible. Now, if you look at Coke, the entire ideology is very, very simple, that the Coca-Cola as a beverage should be available in every nook and corner of their world. So their ideology is to spread wings in terms of making you understand. Moment you see that red logo with that Coca-Cola written in nice white color, that is how you need to identify their company. So a global corporation is also known as a global company, which is coined from the base global, which means I am available everywhere, I am everywhere, and I belong to everywhere. Coca-Cola is, if you go and ask people the real origin and factors, though its headquarters is located in Atlanta, United States, but it is actually a global company. Why? Because people feel that Coca-Cola is available everywhere and it belongs to every other country as far as possible. So that's why, which means all around the world as far as possible. Really, a global company is any company that operates at least in a country where other than where it is from the original. Now, if you look at Coke, probably the world is not enough. That's what I would say, because in every single corner of the globe, their identification is there. So any global company, when I say that, they try to originate and they try to work across all the factors as far as possible. So that is why they are known as global companies. They will try to be in every part. Their presence is felt. They have such a nice brand equity and a brand image, which makes them completely as a true national company, a company which belongs to their own country itself. And probably what they have done is that their products have gone so well in the minds of consumer that you cannot separate, you cannot differentiate the mindset at all. That's why global companies have got a greater presence, a greater wealth creation altogether. With this, I come to the conclusion of this particular session. I hope and believe that all the information provided in this session is of a great help and resource to you. In the upcoming sessions, we will be talking about the various other kinds of business environment, their impact, and how the business is changing in the modern world. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me on this wonderful session.